It is Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We'll be here for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports topics, and excited to do it because, man, there's a lot going on. Wade, how's your Tuesday?
Tuesday's great, Mo. Good to be with you. Good to be with everybody. We are off. We are running, and you are right. There's a ton to not only break down, kind of make sense of as best we can, and but also preview. We got a big show ahead.
Absolutely, we do. In our second hour, we've had a little bit of a hiatus, but on Tuesdays we like to try to catch up with the Blue Raider voice, the pride of the Dimple, Chip Walters, to talk all things MTSU. He will be joining us at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. Looking forward to that because even though it is summer, there's still plenty going on campus, and we will be checking in with him for all of that. In the next segment, we'll be joined by DONNELL SUGGS, editor-in-chief of the Atlanta Voice, and Wade kind of put his finger on it, trying to make sense of the Atlanta Braves and an off-day move that they made yesterday specifically. So looking forward to talking to DONNELL about this team and what's going on with them and where they go from here, because I'm a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Disheartened. So hopefully I can find something DONNELL's got to say to make me feel better about this squad. I'm not sure that that's going to be the case, but we'll see how it goes. In addition to Braves talk, we're going to talk some college baseball, going to talk a little college softball as well. Get into a little golf, a little WNBA action, some NBA action as we run up to the NBA finals that start Thursday night. There we go. Little NFL action as well. A couple of little tidbits coming out of the league. And again, it is Top 5 Tuesday. In our final segment, Wade and I will give you, in tribute to TNT's Inside the NBA shutting it down, we will give you our best pregame, postgame studio shows. Because there's a couple of shows in there that wouldn't necessarily classify as pregame or postgame shows, but probably bear discussion here. So we'll give you that in the final segment. There's plenty to talk about between now and then, though. And so, I don't know, Wade. We probably need to go ahead and get started because we've got such an overwhelming rundown.
I was just getting ready to say, when we get DONNELL on, he's already stated his intentions for his beloved New York Knicks. He said, hire Mark Jackson now. So we got to make sure to ask him his thoughts as Tibbs is go. But DONNELL wasted about 2 minutes. He was on the Twitter in about 2 minutes, it looks like, ready to make his intentions known. So I can't wait to get his ins and outs. We won't ask him about his Mets per se, but we'll ask him about what the Knicks should do when we get him on.
Absolutely. We like tapping in and getting the full breadth of as much as we can get to. So yeah. DONNELL, big Knicks fan, and obviously he's got some thoughts, so we should get those. But let's go ahead and get yesterday's result and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
We go to the rundown. There were a few, but this is the one that you really want to know about. Tennessee defeats Wake Forest 11-5, advancing to the NCAA Super Regionals. More on them later. More on the Super Regionals later.
Absolutely. Major League Baseball this evening. We've got Houston at Pittsburgh. That is a 5:40 start, and at 6:15, you can see it on FanDuel Sports. Arizona comes to Truist Park taking on those Atlanta Braves. Again, that's a 6:15 first pitch. You can see it on FanDuel Sports. We'll talk more about that later in the show as well. WNBA action tonight. The Mystics will go to Indiana taking on the Caitlin Clark-less Fever. That is a 6 o'clock tip. You can see it on NBA TV at 7 o'clock on ESPN3. you've got the Mercury at the Lynx, and at 8:30 on Big ESPN, I guess, it's the Dallas Wings traveling northwest taking on the Seattle Storm. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Your top story brought to you by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And, you know, I have referred to the Women's College World Series as the Sooner Invitational. Texas Tech said enough of that. Walked it off last night, defeating the Sooners 3-2 to finish off their 4-year run of national championships. It'll be the Red Raiders and cross-state rival Texas in the best-of-3 series that starts up tomorrow night. Texas Tech making their first Women's College World Series appearance, and to this point anyway, the moment has not been too big.
No, not too big, and man, it seems like the folks in Lubbock got exactly what they paid for and has delivered and then some, right? Fantastic stuff, fantastic effort from obviously Kennedy, but we've seen Texas Tech be a great team all year. Katie Mosley, our good friend, just left Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. She was strutting around. I don't think she was even on the floor, Mo. She was floating around as her former beloved Red Raiders there. She's been on hand for a couple games back in Nashville, and she was fired up. But with all that being said, for good reason. Not just, I mean, they've been dominant in their own right in this tournament. And Oklahoma, you know, if they don't get the home run versus Tennessee, has looked for the first time, to your point a moment ago, beatable. And Texas Tech got them. I mean, you could make the case. There's only one team that can win it, but it feels like we had three for sure, depending on what you think about Tennessee. We had three really deserving championship caliber teams, and that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. A different day, maybe we're talking about Oklahoma forcing another game last night and maybe advancing, but that's just how it goes, and we see Texas Tech get in. Should be fun when they get cranked up. No shortage of storylines, obviously, between them and Texas.
No shortage of storylines at all, and, you know, a team, a program the caliber of Oklahoma does not go down easily. They got a 2-run home run in the 7th from their number 9 hitter to tie the score at 2 apiece against Kennedy, the $1 million Red Raider, who is
underpaid. You could probably make the case, right? I mean, seriously, you tell me before she signs that we're going to get you to the title game. Yeah, I would say I would go back. I'm not telling her what to do, but I'm going back to the drawing board after this whole season and saying, you know, hey, the price, like the president famously said, the wall just got 10 feet higher. The price just got a little higher for Texas Tech, especially if they can pull this off.
Yesterday's price is not today's price, apparently.
Yes,
so yeah, negotiations will be ongoing, I would think. But yeah, Oklahoma ties it up with that 2-run homer in the top of the 7th. Texas Tech answers in the bottom. They get a single, a double, and a sac fly to walk it off. Again, 3-2. Texas Tech 53-12 with that win. Neither they nor Texas, I mean, obviously Texas Tech hasn't. They have never even been to a championship game, but neither of these teams has won a national championship. Texas has been 2 of the last 4 years, I think, or 3 of the last 4 years, losing to Oklahoma both last year and in 2022. So, you know, they got to feel pretty good about their situation now that Oklahoma's out of the way. But
yeah, their nemesis,
again,
you know,
as
knocked
you said,
them out.
Texas Tech probably feels pretty good about it too. So
Yeah, and I mean, this is going to be so compelling, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean
Texas
it's kind of a
coming in.
series for the ages.
Series for the ages, especially Texas. I mean, I guess Oklahoma knocking them out. A couple wins shy of winning it all. Runner-up finishes both of those years. They maybe kind of feel like they're due in a sense. But man, this is not a this is not your classic, hey, we're showing up and we're the favorites here. It feels like Texas Tech's got so much energy and so much juice going into this thing. Maybe there's a little sign out of the Big 12 after all.
Kennedy has thrown every pitch in the WCWS, despite, again, as Marion Angus Combs was telling us, a torn hamstring that she's been dealing with. She's thrown every pitch for the Red Raiders in Oklahoma City. The first pitcher to do so since UCLA's Rachel Garcia did back in 2019. And it seems as if she will potentially throw every pitch as far as they go. So that'll be something to keep an eye on once they and the Longhorns get cranked up tomorrow night, I would imagine. Just, between her situation with her hamstring and just the toll that working this much, this hard for this long takes on you. Not a whole lot of break there. So certainly be watching that.
And the fact, obviously, that they got the win in the first game, save a little extra wear and tear, save a little tread on the tires. And man, it will be fun. I mean, that in some regards you feel bad because Texas Tech is clearly overshadowed. We're talking about one player. I can't even name a single player on the rest of the roster. But we know her and we know that million. I love this. $1,050,024 contract, $1 million for her salary, $50,000 for living expenses, but then they threw in $24 at the end for her jersey number when they put that together. The Matador Club did. So everything has panned out for her for sure and for the program. I know the team is a lot better than just her. Otherwise, you wouldn't get this far. We've seen elite teams, only go so far with just one key player, regardless of what sport it is. But the fact that I can't really name any other players, I'm going to have to do my homework here in this series kind of on the fly because they have been dominated by one of the elite performances we've seen, regardless of sport, at the college level for sure.
And while you say it's all come together for her, it's all come together for Jerry Glasgow, their first-year coach as well, comes in there. And speaking of storylines, apparently his daughter was an assistant for him at Louisiana Lafayette. Jerry Ann Glasgow died in a car wreck in 2019, and another one of his daughters, as the bracket was being announced, said, if we get the number 12 seed, we're going to Oklahoma City, because apparently Jerry Ann had worn the number 12 during her career, and Tech was the number 12 seed, and here they are, 2 wins away from a national title. So, to your point, a lot of storylines in Oklahoma City around both of these teams, and Oklahoma as well, because Sooner pitcher Sam Landry had played at Louisiana last year for Glasgow. So it's it's kind of intertwined, all of this, and it's just wild to see how this has come out. Obviously, Texas advancing with that 2-0 win over Tennessee earlier yesterday, and the Vols couldn't generate anything offensively. Going back to what we had discussed with Marion Angus Combs of Softball on SI, when we had previously discussed the Lady Vols, just you knew you were going to get pitching, and Carlin Pickens did it once again, but the Lady Vols couldn't generate anything offensively, and they had a defensive miscue late that led to an insurance run for the Longhorns in that 2-0 victory. And, when it goes from 1-0 to 2-0 late in a ball game like that, everything changes. So tough out for Tennessee. We talked about that a little bit with Marion yesterday, where the Lady Vols go from here, but we got a heck of a championship series coming at us again starting tomorrow night out in Oklahoma City when the Longhorns and the Red Raiders get after it. Looking forward to watching that. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we continue on Top 5 Tuesday, we'll be joined by DONNELL SUGGS of the Atlanta Voice, talking about the Atlanta Braves. There we go. Stick around.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Opening June 20th.
Busy bee, yeah, busy bee. If you need
Hold on, y'all, hold on. I need to make a call. Hey, this is Brianna with Busy Bee. I'm giving you a call to let you know your technician is on his way.
333.
Busy bee. Guys, not yet. Not yet.
Busy bee, oh,
Now
busy
ready,
bee.
guys.
Call 775-7833.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. As we await the arrival of DONNELL SUGGS of the Atlanta Voice to talk the Atlanta Braves and the New York Knicks. Wade kind of alluded to it, but I wasn't picking up everything he was putting down when he made mention of this. Apparently, Tibbs is out.
He gone, baby.
We talked about yesterday whether this was coming. Well, the Knicks did not wait long. Shams with the news. The Knicks are firing head coach Tom Thibodeau. The team announced on Friday. Why would you announce we are firing him and not we have fired? But at any rate, the Knicks made the playoffs in 4 of Thibodeau's 5 seasons, advanced obviously to the Eastern Conference Finals this year, their first ECF appearance since the 1999-2000 season, as we discussed yesterday. Back-to-back 50-win seasons for the first time since the 90s. Man. I mean, this isn't even a "what have you done for me lately" thing, is it? I mean, I get it. We've talked about the way he kind of settles on his core group and works them to the nub, and maybe that was it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's there were 2 ways they were always going to approach this offseason, and it felt like we always knew the answer. It felt like they were going to underreact, kind of keep things the status quo, or it felt like we were going to overreact. And the internet happened to be right in this regard. Yeah, we're talking about the Knicks, and they do go that overreact. I mean, there is, you can make a case. You can make a case either way that he got the most out of what was available, but you could also make a case that they really kind of regressed as the season went on. I just talked about yesterday, the Pacers had the second best record since January 1st. The Knicks trended downward after January 1st. They were one of the top 5 NBA offenses the first 4 months of the season. They were kind of toward the middle, even toward the bottom by the end of the regular season. By the end of the regular season. Then they kind of just went into Tibbs ball. I mean, to just trying to sheer will their way to victories, just ugly as possible. And, are we really surprised that a New York-based franchise is overreacting rather than underreacting? I don't think I am.
And that's an interesting dynamic that you mentioned there, Wade, I think. I mean, if this was in a different market than New York City, does it play out this way? Is this an overreaction to maybe appease your fan base, or how much of that weighs into the situation? We've got to make it look like we're doing something. And I don't know how much of that actually enters into the front office decisions along those lines or not, but it certainly does feel like an overreaction. But at the same time, I guess there's plenty of basis for it.
Feels like a little bit of an overreaction, but I mean, everybody's always trying to play chess. Kevin Durant, Giannis, both probably on the move in some capacity. It feels like this offseason. So maybe having a coach of their choosing, maybe having a coach of at least a new ilk makes things a little more sellable if you're going to try and swing for a Giannis for sure, or if you're going to try and make a run at KD. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, or if this is just, pure overreaction from the Knicks. Kind of everything is in play, but it is jarring when you talk about a team that won 51 games, the most in over a decade, and then they fired their head coach. And man, they will look back on this, one of the weirdest, wildest Eastern Conference runs for both of those teams, the Pacers and the Knicks, by far. And I think you're going to look back and say, man, this was a lot better opportunity, and we didn't cash in.
Yeah, and it's disappointing that you're even in the position for this to be, a possibility or a factual situation, as it turns out. So yeah, you hate this, obviously for him and for that team. It just feels like there was a opportunity they were unable to cash in on, obviously, especially with the way the playoffs played out, and Boston's out, Cleveland's out, and I think the thought was that the Knicks kind of had the way cleared for them to some degree, and just unable to cash in.
Yep, and we'll get into this. Donnell, he's classic New York, right? He's got them all lined up in a row. He's Mets, Nets, and Jets. The Mets and Jets, that's about as sad of a combo as there is historically, but I'm right there with half of them on that, so I know of which he speaks. But he immediately went to Twitter and said, hey, I don't care what you got to do. You got to hire Mark Jackson. So this will hypothetically be a coveted job. And, it's interesting hearing a lot of the buzz. We talked about Karl Anthony Towns possibly being on the move yesterday. We talked about Thibodeau being on the move yesterday. Half of that is kind of already played out. Towns' contract will be interesting. He's a decent bargaining chip if you wanted to make a run. A straight swap with KD out in Phoenix could be at play there, and reunite Karl Anthony Towns with Devin Booker. They go back from years and years in their youth there, so it could be in the mix. But the fact that we're talking about this and having this discussion with the finals still on us tells you about the franchise that we're talking about. The Knicks kind of really swing for the fences, and they really disappoint over the years, and it's yet another disappointment for them, even in a successful season.
And to your point, even as the finals are coming up, they start in 2 days. It kind of falls back to the Jeremy Foley saying, I guess, whatever should be done eventually must be done immediately. And again, the Knicks wasting no time from Saturday's season-ending loss to Tuesday's announcement that Tibbs is gone. So, guess there's no sense in sitting on it, right?
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I want to give a little shred, but not much based on their franchise's history. If this was another franchise, a little more forward thinking, a little more successful, stable franchise, I could see this being, okay, we're going to get rid of a guy and maybe set it up for whoever Giannis wants, maybe set it up for whoever an aging KD wants. But I don't know. It just feels almost today as we sit here, especially with no kind of second piece of the puzzle yet to fall. It does feel like a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction and an overreaction. And it also feels like, man, they are really sitting there thinking, what in the world would have happened if we had not blown that 15-point lead down the stretch and Halliburton hits one of the all-time buzzer beaters to force overtime in game one? What if? Because it felt like that series was there for the taking, and it felt like all the air went out of the room whenever that happened.
Absolutely. We await Donnell Suggs' arrival to talk Braves and Knicks, but let's go ahead, since this is our Atlanta Braves segment, with This Day in Braves History. June 3rd, 2010, young Chris Medlin took a shutout into the seventh and doubled in the eventual game-winning run as the Atlanta Braves dealt host Los Angeles a 4-3 loss. The Dodgers had been 18-8 at home, but the Braves extended their win streak to 9 games behind Medlin as well as Troy Glaus, who hit a solo home run, his 4th in 5 games. Johnny Venters, the last of 4 Atlanta relievers, struck out Russell Martin to get the save. That was this day in Braves history. And with that, we welcome in Donnell Suggs, editor-in-chief of the Atlanta Voice, to talk a little Atlanta Braves, but also, Donnell, you didn't get to hear it, but Wade and I kind of set the table for you. Talk to us about the Knicks, who are suddenly in coach search mode. Mark, do we have Donnell?
He was there, but disappeared on us.
That's not good. Hopefully we can get him back. Between the Braves and the Knicks, we kind of need to talk to him.
Yeah, he's in that sweet spot for us there.
Yeah. One of the things we want to talk to him about was, again, the Braves were off yesterday after dropping 2 of 3 at home to Boston, much to David Wilson's irritation since he was down there for Saturday's win and Sunday's loss. But the Braves on the off day made a move, reassigning third base coach Matt Tuiasosopo to a minor league instructional role and replacing him as third base coach with former Atlanta manager Freddie Gonzalez. Freddie was fired mid-season in 2016 and replaced by current Braves manager Brian Snitker. So that's got to be an interesting dynamic that we're getting ready to see here. And speaking of seeing, we now see Donnell Suggs of the Atlanta Voice. Donnell, good to have you with us.
Great to be here. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what was going on there.
Hey, technology is a beautiful thing when it works. Before we get into the Braves, Wade and I were setting the table for you. Take us through your thoughts on the Knicks' dismissal of Tom Thibodeau earlier today.
Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Not a Knicks fan, but been involved in Knicks some way, shape, or form for 40 years. It was such a Knicks move to make the Eastern Conference Finals and to make some news and to be in the news since you're out now. Oh, we'll fire the guy that helped get them to that point. The last time the Knicks were in the Eastern Conference Finals, I was 20 years younger than I am now. What are you doing? But it's the Knicks, though. If any other NBA team would do it, I would go, wow, that's so dumb. They don't know what they're doing. But with the Knicks, you don't even call it dumb. You go, it's a Knicks move. Total Knicks move.
They defy logic with a lot of their moves. And Donnell, my immediate thought was, I want to give them credit. Maybe this is setting something up in terms of luring a big free agent or maybe wooing somebody with a trade. But then you just kind of also reminded me and brought me back down to earth. It's the Knicks we're talking about.
And they're just going to do it because they want to be in the news. They're going to blame him being quote-unquote out-coached during the Eastern Conference Finals, which is ridiculous. It's just basketball. You win them, you lose them. But this team hasn't made one in 20 years. So you should probably say, you know what? Something's working. Let's not mess with it during the offseason, 3 days after you lost, and now you're changing everything. Did they tell Brunson about this? If it was any other team, they probably would consult their best player. But with the Knicks, I feel like he found out when we found out. I really feel that way.
I would not be shocked if that's how it went down.
I wouldn't.
And it seems like he kind of he's a kind of a walk, to me at least, a walking embodiment of Thibodeau on the court. So that is going to be fascinating. Like you just said, whether they wanted to be in the news or not, they certainly are now. And yeah, we're talking about them. We're talking about them in a losing capacity, but we're still talking about them. So if you value that, mission accomplished, I guess.
Mission accomplished. You're still the Knicks. Good job.
So you are advocating for Mark Jackson in that role. If not Mark Jackson, who is
no
a
college
fit?
coaches? No college coaches. No Danny Hurley, God bless him. No Jay Wright. Don't do it because it looks cool. It's not gonna work. It never works.
I mean, hey, Spike was at the St. John's games this year, though. Donnell, you can't get Rick Pitino. Come on.
Rick Pitino. I'm sorry. I know it's going to look cool, and for the press conference is going to be cool, and a lot of the commercials will be cool, but you're not going to get higher than where you were. You need a pro coach, well, you had one, and you got rid of him. So maybe Mike Malone? That's the only person I can think of that doesn't have a job right now that can immediately coach a team and knows how to coach a team that's looking to win a final, because Mike Malone did that. I can't think of anybody else.
Not right now. I mean, this all just happened, right? I mean,
Right.
And also we are, not to belabor the point, but we're talking about the Knicks. They defy conventional wisdom on a lot of moves. So I will not be shocked by anything.
It's going to be a Catholic school, high school basketball coach that we've never heard of. Some high school legend is going to get the job. Well, it's just weird that way. So weird.
Donnell Suggs from the Atlanta Voice, native New Yorker, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. What's the bigger head scratcher, Tom Thibodeau being gone or Matt Tuiasosopo being gone?
Matt cost himself a job like a month ago. He didn't cost himself a job. I apologize. He's still in the organization. Matt cost himself that position with a lot of the decisions he made on the base path. So I knew something was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen now. So that doesn't change the fact that the Braves can't hit with runners in scoring position. You got to get to third base before he does something dumb. There wasn't that many opportunities that he did that. The Knicks bigger head scratcher. I knew they were going to try to blame Matt, who I'm actually friends with some of his people up in Gainesville. I knew they were going to blame him as a way to kind of keep fans from noticing the fact that they're 4 games under 500 still.
Well, they're 4 games under 500 still. They're 9-4 run games. I just don't know, like you said, how this fixes whatever the issues actually are. I mean, I get he has some bad sins, but to your point, you got to get to third for him to enter into the equation. And I'm not sure how many guys were getting to third to this point of the season. So I mean, it's odd. And as I was texting back and forth with friend of the show and probably friend of yours, New Bias Wilburn, last night, I don't know that whatever is wrong with the Atlanta Braves is something that is addressable on the fly.
It's not. Runners get on base, and then they find a way with 1 out, sometimes in certain cases with no outs, to not drive said runners in. That's the problem. The pitching's actually not that bad, and you can't even blame this on the bullpen anymore. You can't automatically say, the bullpen's not that great. We didn't even have that many bullpen situations recently. We haven't scored. You gotta score. Here's a crazy stat, and I love this stat. Michael Harris II and Austin Riley are tied for the lead in RBIs on this team. That should not be the case.
No.
I love Michael Harris II, but he's batting 8th
And he's batting 8th for a reason.
for a reason. So he shouldn't have 33 RBI tied with Austin Riley. That just mathematically that doesn't make any sense. 60 games in. So
And neither Ozuna nor Olsen is at the top of that list. And so I don't know. It just kind of feels like I'm starting to come to grips with the reality that this is at best a 500 team, Donnell. At best.
It's hard to say that because you got Ronald back, Acuna back, and you're thinking, okay, here we go. Spencer Strider's back.
Go.
Here we go. And it's like, no, there's always something else. AJ Smith-Shawver, oh no. It's always something. I think this is, I'm not saying it's as good as it's going to get. Season's not even halfway there yet. But I think we should be realistic about the fact that what you're shooting for is one of those little wild card type playing spots. And forget the division. The Mets and Phillies are running wild right now. They're winning all their series. For the most part, they're each winning most of their series, either 3 or 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
The Braves haven't won a series since Boston a couple of weeks ago. In Boston. They lost the one here.
Right. 6:15 tonight, the Diamondbacks come into town. They are 28-31. Again, a half game up on the Braves at 27-31. Zach Gallen getting the start for Arizona, 3-7, 5.54 ERA. It's Strider again, 0-3 with a 4.50 ERA going for the Braves. And again, this is a team just like Boston, who just left, that the Braves historically would take advantage of, but that's not the way this season has gone to this point. So they're going to have to scratch and claw and try to score some runs and maybe pick up a series, like you said, just to kind of get things moving in the right direction. But let me ask you this, Donnell. What is the dynamic, or what is the expected dynamic between the current Braves coach, the current Braves manager, and the former Braves manager, who is now your third base coach?
It's weird. Your ex-wife and your wife are like cooking in the kitchen together. Hey, if you're blessed to be able to have that happen, then God bless you. It can't work. It wouldn't work for me, but maybe it can work for some others. And Freddie was great. Freddie was great. And just, mid-season that year, they kind of, said that's enough and moved on. And Snit came in, and a couple years later, you win a World Series, so nobody remembers that. Freddie was a really good manager here, and those teams weren't that bad. I mean, they were up and down. But if you're going to put somebody on third base that really knows the game and can potentially be your next manager, God forbid something happens, then go get a guy that's very familiar with the franchise. So I'm actually not mad at the move. It just feels weird. It just feels odd.
It feels very weird. It feels very odd. Absolutely. So, I mean, but yeah, he is a third base coach par excellence. It was kind of a unanimous across Major League Baseball. Yeah, that's a great hire. It's just really odd given the history there. So I'm intrigued by how that plays out. And a number of Atlanta journalists have kind of gone out of their way to say this is not a manager in waiting type situation. I mean, I don't know what they base that on necessarily, but okay.
Well, the third base coach is usually the next guy up type of deal. And you brought back a former manager to stand at third base. And Snit's getting on in years. That doesn't mean he should retire. I'm just saying he's getting on in years. And the team isn't playing that well right now. So I just don't get why you would do this and then tell everybody, hey, don't think anything into it. Don't think too much of the move. But by the way, here's this weird move.
You're right.
But don't look over there though. I'm just gonna put that thing right there.
You say that the team's not playing that well and Snitker's getting up in years. Donnell, there are times when he looks disinterested. Has he checked out?
I haven't talked to him, but you're always talking to him with the media before the game. The guy's super smart, knows the game. He's a lifer. It doesn't look like that, but then there'll be moments where he'll say something like, "Oh, I didn't see him not run the first base," and you're like, "Come on, Snit." So I don't think he's checked out. I think it's a long season. The man's been doing it his whole life. He knows that no one should panic 60 some odd games in. because we got a whole long way to go. And could he manage for 3 more years or 2 more years? Yes. Could he be out after this year and not be weird? Yes. It's one of those situations. He can coach this season and manage this season and say, okay, guys, I'm about done. And no one should say, oh, shocker. But he could also be here next year for 2026, and I wouldn't find that weird either.
Considering the expectations for this team, is there a point where enough's enough and we see him added to the list of managers that are looking for employment at the moment?
After next year, after 2026, you can't do this again. You can't do this again. You can't have Ronnie for a whole year, sans injury, and still be under 500 and not make the postseason and say, okay, things are moving in the right direction. So this year has been weird. You've lost a player every month, a starter every month, or didn't have a full roster yet. They still have not had every single player that they want on the team healthy at one time. Because now you're missing a starting pitcher. You were missing Ronnie at one point. You were missing this one and that one. So I'll give you 2025. There's no way this can happen again in 2026 that you think that we should make a change at manager. Even he would probably tell you that.
Donnell Suggs of the Atlanta Voice joining us here on Main Street Sports today, talking little Atlanta Braves baseball. Let's expand our viewpoint here just a little, because 5:40 tonight, Houston starts a series up at Pittsburgh. The Astros go in at 32-27. The Pirates, one of the few teams in the National League with a worse record than the Braves. They are 22-38. It's Lance McCullers going for Houston, 0-1 with a 5.89 ERA. Paul Skeens, your reigning NL Rookie of the Year, 4-5 with a 2.15, and those numbers don't necessarily go together. But he will get the start for Pittsburgh.
That kid's lights out. Those numbers don't go together at all.
Yeah. McCullers in his last start got a no decision against the West Sacramento Athletics, but struck out 12. So he seems to be coming along from that arm injury that cost him all of last season, and boy, did the Astros need him. Meanwhile, one of the favorites of anybody that follows Major League Baseball, Andrew McCutchen, hit a milestone home run over the weekend, homered against San Diego in a loss. It was his 240th in a Pittsburgh uniform. He is now number 3 in Pirates history for most home runs, tied with, and, I would have thought that this guy had hit more than 240 home runs. He is tied with Roberto Clemente for 3rd on the Pirates franchise list of career home runs. Willie Stargell's 475 is the team's best, and Ralph Kiner hit 304. But, Kutch is just one of those dudes, man. It's so much fun to watch him. He really brings a refreshing attitude to the field, and I'm sure that, as bad as that team is, they would be worse if he wasn't on their roster and in that dugout.
Super fun to watch. Always has been. Love when they come up and he's on the field, because he's just fun to watch. Still is.
Yeah. A couple of other major league tidbits. The Royals have called up Jack Caglianone. He was the number 6 pick in last year's draft out of Florida. He is expected to play tonight. I think they've got St. Louis, and he's been at both the AA and the AAA level this year. Spent about 2 weeks in AAA, so they are excited to get him up, and started the year as a first baseman, but saw most of his time in right field while with Omaha at the AAA level, just because they needed to try to figure out a way to get his bat in the lineup at the major league level. So Kansas City continuing to break young guys through.
It's a young team. All the sports cards enthusiasts are happy about that. That guy was a big-time draft pick and a big-time rookie card type guy. So it'd be good to have him on there. I've been in the field. Sorry, I'm a sports card guy.
We need that.
It needs something,
Yeah.
So that's something to root for.
There we go. Donnell Suggs of the Atlanta Voice joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Donnell, appreciate you taking some time with us and battling through the technical issues that we were having there, and thanks for your insight. We will obviously continue to keep an eye to the south on the Braves, and we'll be checking in with you.
On my way to Truist Park. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Sounds
you, brother.
good, man. Thanks. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, let's talk a little college baseball. There was a lot to talk about from last night, and our super regionals are now set. Let's get to it after this.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing weather report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning. We will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. In our final segment, Wade and I will give you our best pregame, postgame studio sports shows. So stick around for that. Right now, college baseball takes center stage as, again, the super regional pairings are now set. They will start either Thursday or Friday, depending on where. I'm sorry, Friday or Saturday, no Thursday. We got 4 series starting on Friday, an all Atlantic Coast series as Miami goes to Louisville. You've also got Florida State at Oregon State, Arizona at North Carolina, and Coastal Carolina goes to Auburn. Those will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, best of 3 series. Starting Saturday, you've got UTSA or Texas San Antonio at UCLA or Cal Los Angeles. You've also got Murray State at Duke, West Virginia at LSU, and in an all SEC affair, Tennessee goes to Arkansas. So, certainly got some intriguing matchups there. Probably that UTSA UCLA matchup with the Roadrunners having to knock off number 2 seed Texas to advance among those. Also, Murray State was sitting in the driver's seat at the Oxford Regional. Ole Miss actually had to come back and force the if game, but the Racers winning last night 12-11, up as much as 12-3 in that ball game, and then held on late, held off the Rebels for that victory. Third year that a Missouri Valley Conference team has advanced to the Supers following Evansville last year. They actually played at UT in the Super Regionals and Indiana State the year before that. So raise a glass to the Valley and not the Ohio Valley, which is where Murray State was. But certainly some interesting matchups because you've got 7 of these Super Regional teams that were not top seeds at their respective regional.
Hey, like you said, man, Murray State taking names, but man, did they ever hang on. Ole Miss 5 runs in the 7th, and then they got 3 in the 8th. Everything was set up for them to make that dramatic comeback, but they couldn't get it done. So props to them, props to UTSA for getting it done. First time in a tournament since 2013, which was the last time that UCLA won this thing. So kind of a little bit of a fun connection there. And you mentioned Arkansas, Tennessee. That one seemingly carries the most juice. You know, Oregon State and Florida State right there in the mix in that 8-9 matchup. But the big news is Arkansas and Tennessee going toe-to-toe. Good news, bad news. The good news is an SEC team will go to Omaha. The bad news is it won't be one of those two teams that could easily win the whole thing. And that one kind of stings because that cuts into only 3 SEC teams are going to be eligible to make it to Omaha after they had a record 13 advance. Now the question will be how many of those ACC teams can maybe make their own little run, right, after a crazy successful regional for them. And that's without Clemson even being in the mix. Otherwise, we'd be talking about perhaps something even better for them.
Absolutely. And again, to your point, Miami and Louisville, one will knock the other out there, but you've got Florida State going on the road. North Carolina is at home. And then you've got Duke having come out of the Athens region down at University of Georgia. So, you know, the ACC getting a chance to flex a little bit, and they are making their presence known on the socials as well in light of, you know, the SEC's faltering in the opening weekend. So going to be fun to keep an eye on that.
What they fire off? I missed that.
Oh, there's just, you know, it just means more question mark and that kind of thing. I mean, I don't know why you can't just take your 5 teams and go on about your business. But it's funny how the SEC stays in everybody's mouth and on everybody's fingertips, you know. Just it's wild. Clearly, even when they're not succeeding, they are still the standard. So
you are
explains a lot.
You're absolutely right. And man, we rattled off all those ACC teams. Virginia was number 2 in the country to start the season. We're not even talking about them. We're talking about their head coach going to Mississippi State. We're talking about with Virginia. Otherwise, this would be an even more loaded ACC run. Duke getting in the mix. Duke and Murray State. That one is the same concept as you know, Arkansas and Tennessee, just on the bottom end of the spectrum. You know, 2 unseeded teams. One of them is going to get to go. It'll be cool either way. Whoever wins that regional, Duke or Murray State. And then. Yeah, the question will be, I missed the ACC chirping though, but props to them, you know, the social media managers of the world. It's what you get hired to do. You got to get the clicks. The ACC network, you know, they get paid by ESPN just like the SEC network. So they got to stir the pot a little bit, I guess, right?
Absolutely. And they, at one time, felt like they might have one more team still playing this weekend, but Tennessee with a 7-run 4th inning, I won't say they completely took care of business, but they took an 8-2 lead in the 4th with that 7-run inning. And then Wake Forest kind of battled back a little bit, made it interesting. But Liam Doyle was the secret weapon for the Vols. He comes in with 1 out in the 8th, I believe it was. Got the last 5 outs and was just throwing straight gas to do it. A guy who started the Friday night game against Miami of Ohio came back and closed things out last night. And I would imagine he's going to be their guy in the opener at Arkansas. Again, that series starts on Saturday. That certainly helps with his availability for the opener there. So, and I wonder how much, I don't know if those schedules were set going into tomorrow or when they were set, but I would imagine Tony V and that staff has to feel a little bit better about having thrown Doyle to close things out last night, knowing that he doesn't have to go on Friday, that it opens on Saturday now.
Helps them out. And speaking of Arkansas, man, it would have been cool to see Little Rock. And man, they were up 5-0. I was flipping, man. This was a crazy night last night. I'm keeping tabs on them. I'm watching Ole Miss. I had some money. Shout out, good night for the pocketbook. The Miami Hurricanes winning that regional for me. That was a nice little find there heading into the weekend. But man, Arkansas Little Rock coming in with a sub 500 record and had LSU absolutely wobbled, but could not hang on. It would have been a real cool storyline, but it wasn't meant to be. And now we see LSU in West Virginia. That would have been just like Duke and Murray State, right? If we'd have been talking about Little Rock and West Virginia meeting two unseeded teams with a chance to go to Omaha. But either way you slice it, either way you dice it, this is kind of a nice little blend. Yeah, you don't have Texas. Yeah, you don't have Vanderbilt, in whatever order you perhaps view those teams. But I still think you got a pretty compelling little group here, and there will be more drama. I feel pretty confident after we come out of this weekend.
And what's crazy about all this is we talk about the non-seeded teams and the undersung teams and that kind of thing, and we're only just now mentioning Coastal Carolina. The Chanticleers were the number 13 national seed. They actually took care of business on their home field to advance. And it's just like they were supposed to be there, basically.
Yes and no. I had a little, I hit the Miami regional, but I had East Carolina. That would have really paid handsomely. And man, they gave Coastal Carolina two really great games. The first one was right there till about the middle innings, and then we saw Coastal just open up a can of whoop ass on them. But then, last Sunday, I should say, taking care of business, advancing 1-0, like you said, going about their business, winning it basically in the bottom of the eighth. They kind of just are flying under the radar. They certainly will be a little bit of a darling of sorts, as much as you can be for a team, obviously, that's got the goods like they do.
Absolutely. And quiet as it's kept, of the 16 teams moving on to the Supers, Coastal at 51-11 has the best record. They are the only 50-win team in this field.
Them and Auburn. Auburn seemingly is playing at some of its best baseball the entire season right now, and that will be a fascinating regional. I mean, the fact now, yeah, you're talking about the team with the best record, but it suddenly has to go on the road to Auburn. Buckle up. Alabama will be bumping this weekend when those two teams get it on.
It really will. And, that's very drivable for Coastal fans. I'll be interested to see what kind of turnout they have for that best of three series over there. So obviously you got two national seeds going at it there. Florida State, Oregon State is 8-9. And again, as we mentioned, Tennessee and Arkansas, that's the 14 and the 3. Those are your three involving two national seeds, because again, this opening weekend really took its toll. So it'll be fun keeping up with all this, and I like the fact that they've got it staggered, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's not as hard to pick which games you're going to pay attention to. So hour number one here on Top 5 Tuesday comes to a close. When we come back for hour number two, we will be joined by the Blue Raider voice, the pride of the Dimple, 2025 TSSAA Hall of Fame inductee, Chip Walters, talking all things MTSU. Stick around. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
It's hour number 2 of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and we're pleased to welcome in the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, who
just call me the Zebra Hunter.
Yes, sir.
Wow. That will probably take up some space on Wild and Wacky Wednesday tomorrow as we try to figure out whether or not he's been captured by then. But
I saw he was at Toots yesterday.
Well, he was at Toots. He was at Donut Country. He's
all over the shop.
He's been on the assembly line at Nissan.
Over at the Blue Horseshoe. He's been at the obelisk there on Main Street.
Has he been to the handlebar? Then we know he's a real Murfreesboro legend.
I did see one. There was, I think, football. I don't know if football put it out or not, but there have been some unbelievable memes, and the AI generators have been on overtime. But there was one, and he is apparently the zebra has a name of Ed, and football had a meme out, and it was the zebra in a football uniform, and it was wanting to announce the new running back, Ed Zabrowski, who he has been the water cooler talk around here, no question about it.
People are going to be using. I like that Ed Zabrowski there. People are going to be having the zebra as the new coach on the NCAA football game next month. Derek Mason better watch his P's and Q's there on the digital form at least.
There you go. So,
if you are the owner of said zebra, how embarrassed are you?
Now? And especially since said owner only took possession of said zebra last Friday, and by Saturday, Ed was out, and he had gotten out of the Gray Bar Motel and was out and about gallivanting around in the Christiana area down in southern Rutherford County. There was some new video from yesterday where he was going through some people's backyards and stuff, which I'm happy to see that he's still upright and doing and healthy, and I hope that whenever they are able to get him, that he remains in that condition. So
yeah, but man, maybe somebody's not meant to be a zebra owner after all. Chip, I know that you are the Blue Raider voice, but man, it seemed like maybe you were auditioning for some NASCAR time over this weekend. You were a dude over at Gladeville.
Well, I had a pass. That was if that's the equation of being a dude. I will say that the for those who are racing fans and the trucks in particular, they're familiar with the Thor Sport truck teams. There are 5 of them. Thor Sport Racing is based out of Sandusky, Ohio, but they have a farm in Ohio, and they also have a farm here in Murfreesboro, actually not far from where the zebra was spotted. But Thor Sport, I've known those folks a long time, and and they have been very generous to have myself and Coach McDevitt and Coach McDevitt's little boy Cooper as their guests the last several years for the truck race, which means we get to hang out in the infield and in the pits at certain times, and also as part of all of that, trying to take advantage of that opportunity. Jordan Ferguson, former Blue Raider defensive end, who we last saw intercepting a San Diego State pass in the Hawaii Bowl before he was with the Seattle Seahawks for a little while, with the Memphis Showboats for a while, but has now, I think, found a home in a new league, and that would be in NASCAR. He works for Trackhouse Racing. He is a jackman, got his position through trying out in a combine, actually, and the folks in athletic communications were able to spend some more time with him on Saturday and actually get a lot of video of him and do some stuff on camera. Coach McDevitt and I just hung out with him for like 20 minutes while he was getting ready the other day. But the great thing is Jordan is doing great. He is getting a lot of, drivers like to get seat time. Well, he's getting a lot of pit time. He worked both the truck race and the Xfinity race here. He worked the Cup race in the 600 at Charlotte. So, he's getting a lot of practice. He kind of gave me their schedule of what they do during the week, and Trackhouse Racing, by the way, has 5 cars. They have 5 teams between the Xfinity and Cup Series.
Okay.
And they have 5 teams, and they have 6 pit crews, and they have a crew assigned to each car, and then one that is a developmental or float team. And so they all, as a group, which that's 30 guys, five on each crew, 30 of them, they practice on Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays. They lift in addition to their practices. They have weightlifting on Tuesday and Thursday, and a lot of their practice time, Jordan was telling me his schedule, it's like football practice. You go through the drills of doing everything. You go through, you watch a ton of film and you to get your technique down. And I said, well, give me something that they have, that they are working with you on to get you better. He goes, and hopefully folks are watching the screen here. He goes, they were showing me on video that because he's the jack guy. So when the truck comes in, he can't come over the wall until the truck hits the first line of their pit box. So when the truck hits that line, he jumps off with a 35-pound jack in his hand to the far side of the truck, and what they were working on was his turn with this 3,500-pound truck coming at him, about trying to stay as close to it as possible. Because, every little bit, every tenth they can shave off of his movements will shave a tenth off of the entire pit stop. So, he says it is very, it may be even more down to the, to the inch of where your movements are, even more so than football. But he said he's loving it. Most of the guys, of those 30 guys that Trackhouse has, he goes, most of them are former college football players anyway. And the different positions in football actually work better in different positions in a pit crew. Like he is about 6'4", 240, 250 now. And he is a perfect size to be a jack man or a fuel guy, because you got to be able to be tall and hold that can up. If you're probably a defensive lineman or maybe an inside linebacker, somewhere between 5'8" and 6 feet tall, you're better suited to be a tire changer because you're more low to the ground, those kind of things. So it's funny. They scout these guys just like football scouts do, to try to find, guys that have the skill set that's needed. And, and there's not a guy that has a better attitude about it than Jordan, and he's loving what he's doing and just getting better every time out, which that's great.
Now, do you have to have any kind of an automotive mechanics background for this?
None, because not with what he does. There are certain guys who, probably the guy who comes over with the wrench and, makes a track bar adjustment, things like that. But, and also if you, to run the air gun, you've got 5 lug nuts that you're having to deal with, except on the Cup car, you've now got the 1 lug nut. But, if they're doing things to the engine or whatever, they've got mechanics that do all of that. The pit crew guys, they're all about speed and doing 1 or 2 particular things very, very fast, and to be able to change 4 tires and get at least 1 can of fuel, if not 1 plus the most part of the other can in about 10.5 seconds, and changing 4 tires along the way, cleaning a windshield, putting somebody with putting some cold water or Gatorade on a stick inside the window netting. It's amazing to watch it. It's like ballet if you go and watch exactly all the movements and how they just barely miss each other going around the car. It's pretty amazing to watch the amount of stuff that happens in about 10.5 seconds. It's a lot of fun, and like I said, just really proud of Jordan and watching him grow into this new position.
That sounds wild. It really does.
It does get wild for about, for the 30 seconds leading up, knowing that they've made the call for the truck to come in and watching them all get ready, and then for it to all happen. And then when he gets away, for them to decompress for the next 30 seconds until they clean up and get things ready for the next one.
Chip, the Blue Raider Blitz for 2025, dates have been announced, it seems. Dates and sites have been announced for that.
It has, and let me grab my calendar right here, and before I can find it there, before I can find it actually on the website. But the week that's coming up, starting Monday, June 23rd, and Murfreesboro will be the kickoff of the Blitz this year, and it will not be the ending location. It'll be the kickoff, and that will be a lunchtime they have not given all of the locations yet, but they'll announce the Murfreesboro location soon. But just know that it'll be lunchtime on Monday, June 23rd. On the 24th, it will be in Nashville, and that will be an evening location. And I think that's going to be in Bridgestone Arena somewhere. And there will be more information on how to get tickets that will include parking for that. So that's something they're looking at there. Wednesday will be a busy day. It will be a lunchtime event in Tullahoma at the Ascend Federal Credit Union headquarters, and Wednesday night at the Blue Ribbon Circle Club in Shelbyville on the Tennessee Walking Horse Celebration grounds. And then we'll wrap up on Thursday at lunch at the Smyrna Event Center. And so that will be, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 events in 4 days. And so that I think that is the definition of a blitz.
There we
go. And that's when it'll happen, June 23rd through the 26th. All the information is on GoBlueRaiders.com, and you'll see more and more of it as we get into the weeks leading up to it.
Hey, kind of like a pit stop there. Do you have? Do they have the routine kind of dialed in at this point? Are there any new wrinkles you can tease, or is this kind of?
I think a lot of it is somewhat the same. It's mainly typically has a meal availability. We'll typically have Derek Mason will be at all of them. Chances are Nick McDevitt and Rick Insel will be at all or most of the stops. There are other coaches will show up at at different spots. Wouldn't surprise me if some student athletes show up. But also there's a little program where, just very, for the most part, pretty loose, that just to where those coaches can, thank the folks who are there, things like that. The one in Nashville a lot of times has had a program that has been worked around with, media, with different media panels, and, making media availabilities available to where, bring the coaches to where the TVs can be there. And I know last year we were out at Tailgate Brewery in Nashville, and like all the TV stations were out there, and it was a good location where they could go do their one-on-ones, things like that. And it's a good opportunity to get into a lot of these communities where there's a lot of grads, and just kind of beat the drum and get ready for football, which, by the way, I think today was supposed to be the last day of work on the new turf in the football stadium. So I think as of today, I think it's complete, because they've got some camps coming in this weekend. So it was, I think it was getting wrapped up either yesterday or today.
Nice. Chip Walters.
It's a little added bonus there for you.
There we go. So the Blue Raider voice joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Speaking of football, the promo schedule for this upcoming season has been announced and is on GoBlueRaiders.com. Also, kickoffs and TV plans for for 11 of 12 games, every
Correct.
game except the game out at Nevada in September, have been announced. And I'm particularly intrigued by that. I guess it's the Labor Day weekend game that has the Blue Raiders going to jump around at Camp Randall Stadium on the campus of the University of Wisconsin. That will be a 3:00 kickoff, and you can see it on FS1.
That's right. I thought that would probably be, if you had made me guess on that, I was probably going to guess 11 a.m. Central Time on the Big Ten Network, but instead it is FS1. It's the mid-afternoon slot, but Labor Day weekend is actually going to be August 30th. That will be the Austin P game, but game 2 is at Wisconsin, game 3 at Nevada. Then homecoming will be September 20th against Marshall, and that is a 6:00 kickoff, meaning that parade activities will begin a little bit later, like 11 a.m., something like that on that morning. Also, around homecoming weekend on that Friday night will be the final Friday Night Live on the Square in Murfreesboro, which is the first Friday night of and it's not always the first Friday night, but most of the time it is. It will be live music on the Square, and there will be a lot of MTSU stuff going on that night prior to that, with that being homecoming weekend. Then you get into, you open up conference play at Kennesaw on the 27th. Then you have the 3 midweek games. And interestingly enough, as we have belabored the point over the last couple of years of how the schedule of those has been all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
This year, Middle's 3 midweek games are all on Wednesday. They are all at 6:30, and they are all on ESPN2. So Missouri State, Jack State, and are there, and FIU all are actually Delaware and Jack State. Those are the midweek games. Then you've got FIU in November at Western, November 15th. Then you've got Sam Houston at home, and you wind up Thanksgiving weekend out in Las Cruces, New Mexico, against the New Mexico State Aggies. And I can also tell you that on that weekend of November 22nd, when the Middle is at home against Sam Houston, the basketball team is going to be in the Cayman Islands. So guess who will not be going to the Cayman Islands?
Wow, that's unfortunate.
You're a pro's pro, Chip. Duty calls.
That's right. So there you have on that schedule the promotion schedule. Basically, there's different promotion events that go along with each one, but the couple of big things on that schedule include the November 8th game will be the Salute to Veterans, which is always a biggie. Homecoming on the 20th. Family weekend will probably be will be Austin P. But that's what most of those events are going to be. So, it'll be here to just under 100 days right now.
Also Hall of Fame weekend coinciding
Yes.
with homecoming weekend against Marshall. So
That's correct. And I can tell you that the class of 2025 will be announced sometime during the month of June. It has been selected, but the inductees have yet to be have not been contacted yet. That process has just been completed. They will now be contacted, and sometime by the end of the month, you'll have the class of 2025 and will be announced. So, and there's a couple of really good ones again coming up this year. Last year, you look at it, and every year, last year you had Ebony Rowe and Kermit Davis go in. How do you beat that? Well, there's a couple other good ones that that will be recognized this year as Hall of Famers, and so that's kind of a little tease for something we can have in a few weeks.
you mentioned the football schedule with Delaware and Missouri State. They officially become Conference USA members July 1, but obviously you don't wait until then to do the schedule. But this is a solidifying move, it feels like, for Conference USA, as we've discussed previously, just getting them to 12 in the conference. And obviously it kind of further extends things geographically, but that's apparently not anybody's concern other than mine.
Well, the thing is, this will be the last year for UTEP. And they're not on our football schedule this year. Neither is Liberty. But UTEP, this will be their final year coming up in the conference, and then they will go to the Mountain West, which is a great fit. There's a lot of folks who would, quite frankly, would like to see New Mexico State make that move as well, which would then help compact the geographic footprint a little bit better. Missouri State, Heartland, I mean, that does not string you out too much, nor really does Delaware. It is not a whole lot far north when you start looking at a map of Liberty. How you get there is you fly to Philadelphia and drive about 45 minutes south into the state of Delaware, and that's where the university is. And interestingly enough, they will come in to Conference USA probably with the second largest financial endowment as a university of any member school in Conference USA, with Liberty probably having the largest financial endowment at this time. But the University of Delaware is the land-grant institution of that state, and they have terrific facilities all across the board. So I think, they have been playing 1AA football for a long time, and they've been very good at it. But they, I think people will find that they are going to be a quality opponent in all sports across the board immediately. And the same goes for Missouri State. I mean, they've got great facilities there. Their football facility, might be the weakest of their facilities, and it's okay. They've got a great basketball arena, and they play baseball in a minor league park that is about 10 years old. So it's about it would be like playing at First Horizon Park or a similar ballpark to that might not be quite as big as First Horizon, but still a very nice park there in Springfield. So, those are two really quality universities that'll be coming in July 1st.
I mean, and you got the Deladon Bowl there, Gene versus Ella from back in the day,
Oh, that's
right?
right. Elena was almost a Lady Raider, right?
Yeah,
almost. Yep. Boy, she was a blue hen to begin with before she made the choice to go to Connecticut. And from everything I've ever heard, it was between Middle and UConn of where she was going to go.
Oh, good Lord.
And because her brother Gene was a backup quarterback / tight end
right
at Middle. And you talk about, he is a terrific guy. Gene is, and he's now coaching football at a private high school. As a matter of fact, I think we've had one or two of his players come on and walk on at Middle, because he did have a really good experience here.
Came from Duke.
Yeah, came from Duke. He started at Duke, ended up here, had a good experience, and I've seen him back on campus a time or two during camps, things like that. So that's kind of one of those inside baseball deals when you talk about the Deladon family.
Chip, real quick, I got to ask you too. Other than Michigan back in 2019, how many other Big Ten trips has MTSU made when you get ready to go up to Camp Randall?
Well, also in 2019 we went to Michigan. We also went to Iowa that year.
Okay.
So we've been to Iowa. We have been to Michigan. We have not been to Michigan State. We have been to Purdue.
Should have beat Purdue.
Yeah, that was the hottest freaking day at a football stadium I think I've ever been to. It was like 106 degrees. It was crazy. In Lafayette, Indiana. I'm trying to think that we've not been to Rutgers.
I can tell you where you've been.
Nor have we been to UCLA, USC, Oregon, Stanford. Where have we been?
You've
Maryland.
been to Illinois,
Maryland.
Because Celicio Sanford returned a kickoff for a touchdown up at Illinois.
Yeah, been to Illinois twice, Maryland twice. So we've as they keep expanding, gives us more trips that we've made to that fine campus. We went to Maryland.
What we need is a USA. We need a USA map, Chip, with all of your with pins inserted for all where you have been. That would be clutch.
I think I did this last year. I went and looked of all the schools that are current Division I football programs of the 130 whatever. I have been to games either at or against 87 different ones. So
that's solid.
So that's not. I haven't been to 87 different stadiums, but because some of them were at our place that we didn't go there. Mm-hmm. But 87 different Division I football schools that played Division I football in 2024. I've been to 87. So I was just curious, had some time one day and just kind of went down the list and thought, dang, that's not bad.
That's not bad. Chip Walters is a Blue Raider voice joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Men's basketball continues to be active in the portal and otherwise. Brandon Ulumu, is that right?
That's my guess right now. Okay. I'll find out for sure. He comes here from the he is a Bahamian native. 6'10", 210 pounds. He's a junior from the College of Southern Idaho. Tell me the last center that transferred to Middle from the College of Southern Idaho.
And you put me on the spot with that one, Chip.
So this is not a trick question. There actually is one.
Yes, there is.
Okay,
there is. And I'll tell you, if Mr. Alumu lives up to that player's play, he will have been a fine choice for middle. The answer to that question is Ayutan Tesh. So
goodness.
He was a good one. Tesh was from Brazil, who he was actually in town not too long ago and had a chance to see him. He's doing great. And
that's good. He was a good dude, and like you said, a heck of a ball player during his time here at MTSU. Spent 2 years at Southern Idaho, Mr. Alumu did. So he'll, I guess, have 2 years of eligibility left. I don't even know why I go there at this point because I have no real idea. But also signed Luka Jovanovic
or Jovanovic. I'm not sure. Again, I'll find that out. Now, they're really excited about Luka. He is a freshman from Serbia, 6'11", 230, 240. And I was told, Coach and I were talking this weekend when we were at the track. He was telling me that Luka had moved in that day, and said just getting, eyeballing him in person for the first time, and they did some walkthrough stuff. Very bright guy, and appears, obviously will play an international style of play, and what middle does offensively fits into what he has been used to. So between him and Brandon and Chris Loof, that gives middle some pretty good, it gives them some good depth at the 5 position, and also they're doing some other things with the roster and with some returning guys of talking about possibility of having some other guys cross train at some, like Jared Hall might at 6'8", give him some time at the 5 in a backup role that might get him on the floor a little bit more in certain situations. So
I'm thinking of Torrey Alston as well.
Me too. And and I thought about that myself, and they really like Torrey's game at the 4, and his and being able to face up to the basket a little more than put his back to the basket. So and that's where they feel like they can, maybe if they use Jared a little bit more in that situation, it would and also Jared plays the 4 as well. So looking for him to come on now in his second year in the program out of Lebanon. So there are going to be 5 in-state guys on the roster this year, including Javin Carter out of Alcoa. You're going to have the young man out of Bartlett who went to Walters State. Also, the one of the latest signees, they got out of Missouri St. Louis, who played at Smyrna.
Yeah, Savon, and I cannot think of his last name. Yes, we talked about him last week in your absence.
Yeah, and so he's on there. Jared Hall. So it's interesting when you look at the makeup of the roster. And if you talk to Nick McDevitt about what he wants on his roster, I mean, these pieces fit the template of what he looks for in having guys who are versatile and can play multiple positions, in particular his guards, to where they can, where 2s can play 1s, 2s could play possibly 3, things like that. Your point guards are probably going to be your point guards, but those combo guards sometimes can, if you need them in a pinch, could play the 2, but also could play the small forward. So he likes that versatility and being able to shoot the basketball.
Yeah. Finally, women's golf picked up a transfer as well. Isabella Johnson coming home. She played her high school golf at Providence Christian. Initially was at the University of Tennessee. She will be a sophomore this fall. Played 8 rounds in 3 tournaments with UT. Had a top 25 finish at the Daniel Island Invitational. Also competed at the Tennessee Spring Challenge. But again, she will be coming back and putting on blue. So good for her.
And seems very excited about it. And I know Coach Walmsley is excited to bring her back in, and looking forward as Lauren Walmsley, the women's golf coach, enters her second year, really starting to put her fingerprints a little more on the program and building it. And it was really interesting this past year. We've talked about Abby Lee on this program before, and Abby Lee was recruited under the previous coach and loved her and all that, and has she really talked a lot about how when Lauren Walmsley came in, it was a real seamless transition from one coaching staff to another, and they all get along, which that says a lot about the whole group. When the outgoing coach left, the incoming coach came in, and the players, seamlessly went from one staff to the next and just, picked it up and just kept moving. And that says a lot about all of them.
Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chip, as always, we appreciate it and look forward to catching up with you next week.
That's right. I got to go search for.
Keep us posted. Good luck.
Will do.
All right. Be safe out there.
Later.
Hey, let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, let's get into the grab bag. Stick around.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo, opening June 20th.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome into the grab bag portion of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Qualifying for the U.S. Open took place yesterday at Oakmont in Columbus, Ohio, and it got pretty exciting late. There were 6 bids available for the Open at Pittsburgh. 5 of those were, I guess, decided through the first 36 holes. The last one went to a 5-man playoff, including Cameron Young, Ricky Fowler, Max Homa, Eric Cole, and Chase Johnson. Young wins that 5-man playoff with a birdie on the opening hole. So I guess 36 holes for most and 37 for one. And he picked up his 6th U.S. Open berth there. He's been each of the last 5 years. I hope he hasn't had to qualify each year, but man, it's a tough way to do it.
Absolutely, man. It's interesting you mentioned this. Yesterday on the show, I had Oakmont. It's not the Oakmont out on the West Coast from a couple years ago, which is a little sad for me because I love when the tournaments are out on the West Coast and you get the U.S. Open coverage rolling in into about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So it is in PA. But man, I just read an article today. Talk about tough luck, Mo. Max Homa has not had a great run of it as of late. So much so, he caddied for himself for all 36 holes. He walked 36 holes as his own. For some reason, had issues with his caddy, kind of in and out. He's done well in a couple of tournaments, and he's done well at the Masters 2 out of the last 3 years. But he had to carry his own bag and really, really kind of fell apart. And man, it was a kind of a grim picture. Talking about how he's just he's going to continue. He's a pro's pro, but man, it was a kind of a harrowing read. As he kind of falls out. But yeah, Cam Young gets in. Qualifying kind of slams shut. We will be on the East Coast, and we will be ripping and running. I will be fascinated. Obviously, the big story in the U.S. Open is how tough is the course, and you get to watch everybody get chewed up and spit out just like the rest of us.
There you go. Seeing how the other half lives, right? Apparently, Caitlin Clark is not the only member of the Indiana Fever's roster who has had some injury issues here of late. They have also lost Sid Colson and Sophie Cunningham. Colson with an upper left leg injury, Sophie Cunningham with a right ankle injury. They were heading into today's matchup against the Mystics with just 8 available players, which made them eligible for an emergency hardship exemption, allowing them to sign a replacement player whose contract must be terminated as soon as their non-replacement players are healthy. So tough times for the Fever, but they have signed veteran guard Ari McDonald with that emergency hardship exception. She had previously been with the Sparks, I believe. Was cut on the final day of camp. She was the Sparks' she was the number 3 pick in the WNBA draft in 2021. I'm not sure if it was by the Sparks or not, but she was cut by the Sparks very late in camp. She's expected to be with the team through at least that game on Saturday against the Sky. Colson and Cunningham are both day-to-day with their injuries. Clark is not expected back before June 10th. But again, once they get back up to 10 of their original players, then they have to terminate the McDonald contract. So at least I guess, there's a finite amount of time that Ari McDonald is going to be in Indianapolis, apparently.
Yeah, and at least they're allowed to do this. We talked at the end of the regular season, the Mavericks were in a very precarious situation where they had no money to sign anybody and had already kind of fulfilled all their 10-day contracts and didn't really have the resources to do so. So props being able to do that. Cunningham, you'd like to see her get back because she's only played in a handful of games. She sat out a couple to start after, bringing her in and kind of hoping that she would integrate seamlessly, but it hadn't worked out. They've lost 3 in a row. But the other real question, Mo, the injury is bad for the Fever, but that may be music to the Pacers' ears because Caitlin Clark's 7-0. The Pacers, I should say, are 7-0 when Caitlin's in the building. And, if she's not playing games, she's got a little more chance to go to these games. The Pacers are begging her to get courtside for the finals, getting ready to gear up for those 2 games at home at least. They need all the help they can get. I don't even know if that will be enough for them. But, yeah, the Pacers and the Fever, man, they got a lot of question marks going on right now.
Well, I guess if she's helping at least one team in Indy, then that's a good thing.
Yeah, classic team player. Hey, I'm hurt. I can't help my team directly, but I'm helping the other guys out. Her, Aaliyah, and Lexi Hull were all courtside the other night, and they were taunting Brunson, which was electric to see down the stretch there.
The Chicago Sky will be retiring Candace Parker's number 3 jersey in August. It is scheduled for August 25th when the Las Vegas Aces, another of Parker's former teams, comes to town. Parker was a member of the Sky's only WNBA champion team when they won it in 2021. So obviously well-deserved recognition for her as a Chicagoland native as well. So it's nice to see. I don't know. Is this a what took so long situation, or was it just kind of waiting for her to finally retire before this came about, or what? But heck of a WNBA career, heck of a career period on the hardwood for the former Lady Vol. 3rd in Sparks history in points, 2nd in rebounds, 1st in assists, but again, also won that WNBA title in 21 with the Sky, so being recognized for her time there.
Well deserved. And I'm wondering too, if this, I see what you're doing, Sky. Bring her back, maybe get her feeling good. They can't keep playing the wings every night. That's their only 2 wins they got this season. They're thinking, hey, Candace, why don't you go ahead and suit up for us? We could use you right now to get us out of the basement here. I see what you're doing. Well played.
It's just a Candace Parker summer. The Sparks are going to retire her jersey later this month, June 29th. So it's great. I mean, it's again, obviously a great and well-deserved honor for her. And so that's good stuff there. Couple of retirements announced in the NFL. I guess guys getting ready to go to camp and they're thinking, you know what? No, I ain't going. Detroit Lions center Frank Ragnow is shutting it down after 7 seasons. 29-year-old Ragnow has started 96 regular season games, 4 playoff games for the Lions since being drafted in 2018, but cited future health as the primary reason for his decision. I've tried to convince myself that I'm feeling good, but I'm not. It's time to prioritize my health and my family's future. So, got to do what's best for you, I guess. So Ragnow leaving a very good Detroit team with a hole to fill in the middle of its offensive line at this point.
Yeah, it's a big blow for them. Talking about this with a Lions fan yesterday, and some tea leaves were kind of indicating he was probably not going to be around a lot longer beyond this season. But man, the timing, and we saw the Titans last year, as bad as they were. You lose a center. That's the closest thing you can get to losing your quarterback on the line. So they have some holes to fill suddenly. Presumably they could maybe patch it together. But yeah, that's a big piece. But obviously if it's on his terms, that's what's most important.
Veteran cornerback Ronald Darby, who had signed a free agent deal with the Texans in March, has also decided to step away. 31 years old, 10 seasons out of Florida State, played with the Bills, the Commanders, the Broncos, the Ravens, and the Jaguars, and won a Super Bowl as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. He got 8 career interceptions, 447 tackles in 118 games. Won a Super Bowl with Philadelphia, won a national championship at Florida State. That's not bad.
He'll take that. We just talked with Ben Arthur too. A lot of questions about the Texans. Be curious to see what happens with them. Maybe Darby said, you know what? I ain't dealing with this crazy this year. You guys, they let their entire offensive line go. He's looking around probably like, what the heck is going on here? hopefully it works out for him, and hopefully the Texans can maybe find a little bit of a replacement all of a sudden here.
Absolutely. Let's skip our final break of the day. Let's go straight into Top 5 Tuesday as Wade and I give you our top 5 in some category or another. This week, it is our top 5 pregame, postgame, studio sports shows in tribute to, Inside the NBA on TNT, which has, with TNT losing the NBA, I guess there's no need for Inside the NBA to be on TNT. So they are transitioning. So with that in mind, we're going to give you our top 5 such shows. Wade, the floor is yours.
Man, I'm gonna start us off, and you're right, man. I don't know. Did you know? I didn't know till like 3 weeks ago. We've been talking about this show going away for a whole year, and then it's like, no, poof. Actually, we're all going to ESPN. There were so many talks about Chuck not going. So many talks about Ernie's never leaving TNT or Turner Broadcasting, and then poof, magically everybody's going together. I feel a little duped.
I think that there's a lot of question though about, how they will be able to replicate, the dynamic on ESPN, just because they were pretty much allowed to do and say what they wanted to on TNT right down to the last show, as Shaq kind of bore out in that final show. I guess he figured, what can the FCC do to us? We're going off the air anyway. So
yeah, him and Kenny got a little creative with their language right there. But you're right. I'm be curious to see how it plays out. It'll be hashtag not my inside the NBA before this. If they tinker with anything, it's going to be real precarious. So,
and without question, yeah.
But with that being said, if it's not inside the NBA, which is clearly the number one in this, so much so that it obviously bears its own generation of a topic. But number two's got to be College Game Day. I mean, you're talking about a show that has spanned so long, that has been to so many campuses. The Washington State flag is still flying somewhere as we speak to this day. It is an entity. It is a staple. It is the number one pregame show, postgame show, whatever show across all platforms. Give me that one.
Excellent get, and everything that you said was absolutely right. I'm going to go to the OG, and, not a huge Chris Berman fan, to be honest, but the work that he and Tom Jackson did on Sundays with NFL Primetime was incomparable. Just their wrap-ups of the games of the day and that kind of thing. I just think that was fantastic stuff. So give me NFL Primetime as my number one. Your number two?
That is as good as it gets. I've got goosebumps right now listening to the music. You can watch it on ESPN Plus or Disney Plus, during the season. It's not quite the same like it used to be. Give me that OG, like you're saying. Number two for me, man, talk about a show that just left us around the horn, about as good as it gets. And that final montage on the final day, paying homage to Goodfellas in the single take where reality is going through the hallway. Many afternoons for the greater part of 20 plus years I spent watching that show. Give me Around the Horn, number two.
I'm going to stay in that same general time slot. Pardon the interruption, with Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon. Just their view of the news of the day has their take on it. It's just really good stuff, really informative. And again, those guys know so much about so much that it's just a fun watch when you get to watch it. Give me PTI.
Yeah, great pull. And, honestly, the format of this show, pretty much, when you think about it, pardon the interruption, right? I mean, it's spawned not just this one, but a many shows in that regard. Up next for me, this one is retired, but man, I used to love watching the best damn sports show, period. An eclectic cast. Rest in peace to Deacon Jones. But man, that show from top to bottom, it was great. And it was just when everybody was having fun, a simpler time. Give me the best damn sports show, period.
That's a heck of a pull there. Showing my fandom of baseball here. Give me baseball tonight. I mean, I don't even know if it's still on ESPN. I don't believe it is, but when they used to show, baseball highlights on the worldwide leader, I thought they did a great job with that. And if you had been out, I guess maybe social media kind of almost rendered them obsolete, because you could get the scores, you could get the highlights, that kind of thing from just about anywhere. But there was a time when, as a baseball fan, it was really a valuable property there. Baseball tonight on ESPN is my number 3.
Yeah, man. Again, you're sending me down memory lane. That is a good pull, and it's kind of sad that it's gone, but we will always have
gems.
We'll always have the good times. Ain't no doubt about that. That was a great one. Staying on ESPN for me, again, going back, man, I just feel like we're paying homage to deceased shows here, but Highly Questionable with Dan Le Batard, good old friend of mine, by Mr. Bomani Jones. But you got Mr. Le Batard, and you got Papa Le Batard right there in the middle. CC, I'm very intrigued. Give me Highly Questionable.
That's fantastic. I'm going to stay in baseball. I don't watch a lot of the MLB network, but again, for those highlights and when I'm just trying to, find something to wind down before I go to bed, give me Quick Pitch on the MLB network as my number 4. It's the closest thing that there is to, highlights and wrap-ups and that kind of thing. So I will take that at number 4. Number 5.
Last for me, give me Dan Patrick Show, but not just because of the Dan, of course, but you got to have the Danettes to go with it. Including McLovin. Everybody loves McLovin too, but give me the Dan Patrick Show. You could sit there, and yeah, it's a radio show, but watching it on TV, no matter which channel it ended up being on, that's about as good as it gets. Can break down any topic, and the Danettes always deliver. Give me the Dan Patrick Show.
Absolutely. My number 5, SEC Now tells you everything you want to know about the Southeastern Conference pretty much on a nightly basis, whether it be football, basketball, or whatever else. And, the cast of characters they've got on there, shout out to Ron Slay, one of ours. They do a great job with that and obviously promoting the conference. But, SEC Now. That's my number 5. Good stuff. That is our top 5 pre-game, post-game studio shows here on Top 5 Tuesday. And that's going to wrap us up here on Main Street Sports Today's Top 5 Tuesday edition. Be sure and join us tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We will be joined by Heather Williams, talking a little NASCAR. I'm sure we'll talk a little East Tennessee State and the Nashville region as well, even though the Buccaneers didn't fare so well over here this past weekend, but we'll get her thoughts on what went on out at Gladeville as well. So looking forward to catching up with Heather. Second guest, TBA. Oh, tomorrow we'll be coming to you from First Horizon Park, by the way, down in Nashville, getting ready for the Sounds and Gwinnett as well. So, we may have some Sounds personnel at some point wander through. So be sure and check all of that out tomorrow, starting at 2 o'clock. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good evening.